Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. We are here for another huge debate and I am joined by Statman Daddy. I've got Rants and Bants and I've got Akeem from CheekySport joining us today. And we are going to talk about Lukaku. It's a hot topic for everybody at the moment. Is he smashing it or has he smashed it? What's going on? Is he the player we thought he would be or is he a donkey? I mean, that's the internet, isn't it? It can only be one of those things. It can't be anywhere in the middle. And it's kicked off because Dino's fan cam against Huddersfield threw up the Lukaku debate. So we're going to get into it. We've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about today. One of them is we're going to talk about scoring goals. We're going to talk about his potential. We're going to give all of these lads a chance to argue about it and see who's right and what you all bring to the table and everything like that as well. So let's get stuck into it. Dean, tell us first, before we get into the actual debate, why you think we need to be having a debate on Lukaku.
I think we need to be having a debate because for what he's supposed to be, which is the pivot player up front, that's the whole point of having the big man up front. You're supposed to play off him. I think his ball retention is terrible for the job that he's been asked to do, specifically only for that job. He is scoring goals. When you look at his goal record, you can say, yeah, he's got a decent return. But ultimately, in this system, that's not all he was brought in to do, is just to score goals. If you wanted someone to just nick a few goals in there, yeah, you get a box striker. He's supposed to be the link man. I feel like the ball doesn't stick when it goes up to him and it breaks down a lot of our attacks. He's a big man. For a man his frame, he's on the floor too much. I don't want to see Lukaku over, and that's ridiculous. People used to mock Emil Heskey, but I tell you, the reason why Michael will go for England. Do you know what I'm saying? His link play was quality. Do you know what I mean? Like, his overall finishing and that wasn't great, but he held the ball and he brought people into. I believe that Lukaku, actually, the fundamental things, holding the ball, laying it off to people, flicking it on or whatever, he's not doing that to the level of a man of his stature, man. I don't believe that even though he's played as that's his strongest position. I really don't. I've seen Bobby Zamora do a better job, in all honesty, in terms of bringing the ball down and bringing people.
Goals. A lot of people would say that goals are what you measure a striker on. I think there's a little bit more to it than just pure goals. You have to look at a bigger picture, and I'm sure there's at least one of the people in here that's going to give us a little bit of a data on a bigger picture. It's obviously Keem.
Yeah.
So
let's Statman Dave.
Let's talk about goals. Keem, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Is he scoring enough goals? Should he be doing more all round? Are you happy with his return? Give me all that lot.
Yeah, because I know you guys are definitely going to come with the stats, but I'm going to throw a few important stats out there. People need to remember Harry Kane, the incredible Harry Kane, he just scored his 100th goal. People need to remember Lukaku at 24 years old had 97. That's right, 97 goals in the Premier League. He's done an amazing job. He is still one of the greatest ratio strikers for his age of all time in the Premier League. He's also got 33 assists. Yeah, that in the Premier League for a striker, a donkey Premier League striker like Lukaku, isn't too bad. And to be quite frank, he's also done, and no disrespect to West Brom and Everton, most of the time at West Brom and Everton. And he scored 97 goals. That's incredible. Now, obviously, in relative terms to Salah, to Akeem, he's not been good enough. You know, he's scored only 11, 12 goals, I think, so far this season. So, in relative terms, he's not Andy Cole. You know, he's not Van Nistelrooy in that sense, you know, which will probably be on 15, 16 goals. He's definitely not on Van Persie's level for, you know, what he should be doing. But he's contributing. He's getting near on an assist or a goal, one or the other, at least per game. That's it. I think he's doing a great job. I think the truth is, because of the standards of City this season, Man United look worse. And because of the standards of Salah and Kane, he looks even worse. Take those guys away, he's done a good job.
David, goals. Is he scoring enough? Is he doing enough? Talk to me about the goals of Lukaku.
Yeah, I think he's doing enough. He's a top scorer for Man United this season, so he scored the most goals for Manchester United. Of course, if you look at it in isolation versus Harry Kane and just the pure number of goals that they've scored, of course, you know, Kane's on 22, Lukaku's on 12. But I think in terms of both strikers, they're unbelievable strikers. But Lukaku is a lot closer to Kane than the goals, just the straight goals will give you. In terms of the big thing that Lukaku's criticised on, is his first touch. This season in the Premier League, he's made fewer unsuccessful touches of the ball than Salah, Sanchez, Dele Alli, Morata, Firmino. These are strikers that are supposed to be bringing players into play. Firmino plays for Liverpool as a false nine. He's supposed to be a technically gifted midfielder playing as a striker. And Lukaku's got better ball retention than him. It's a big, big picture. But going back to the Kane versus Lukaku thing, both wonderful forwards, they're so close in terms of chance conversion. Lukaku trumps Kane, 17% versus 15%. In terms of other things that you judge strikers on, scoring goals with his head, again, Lukaku, 19%, Kane, 18%. Moving a bit further in terms of aerial duels and looking for being direct and being more able to bring long balls down or flick them onto teammates. Again, Lukaku beats Kane, 57% versus 45%. But the big thing I think that Lukaku gets criticised for, that Kane gets highlighted so well, again, is sort of what Akeem was talking about, creativity. That is a big, big thing for strikers. Again, comparing the two, 26 chances created for Kane, 24 for Lukaku, thinking Kane is more creative than Lukaku. Absolutely not in terms of assists. Absolutely trumps him there. 5 assists for Lukaku, 1 for, of course, Harry Kane. I think this paints a picture of Lukaku as a total forward and a guy that's really improving at Manchester United. I think from his days at Everton, in a defensive sense, sometimes he looked a little bit laboured when he was pressing, when he was harrying. At Manchester United, that's gone. I think he's added that part to his game. For me, Lukaku's having a wonderful season, and it's United are the issue. It's United creating chances for him, United not bringing him into play. Of course, Paul Pogba being out injured or being suspended or whatever is going to drop United in terms of how many chances they create per game. Statistically, it's proven. But the big thing there is that United need to be a little bit more direct in terms of finding Lukaku. Whenever you go to watch United Old Trafford, you constantly see Lukaku shown for the ball again and again and again, and nobody's finding him. It's just going left to right, side to side. United needs to bring Lukaku into play more, use him more. And for me, goals, it's fine. His goal record this season, 19 goals in all competitions, for me is absolutely fine as a striker.
I think the reason why they don't pass to Lukaku is because they don't have faith in his touch, man. I'm telling you. When Tony's got a man behind him, they'll play the ball into Tony. They'll fizz it in and he'll hold it. Them guys, the amount of times I've seen Lukaku free and they don't pass him the ball, they know. So they give it to Sanchez when he asked for it. And I'll tell you what, at that Huddersfield game, he was screaming he wanted it. Even when he had 2 men on him, he gave it to him and he held it and he dropped the shoulder and he wriggled his way around. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not even just judging Rom on goals, because my thing is, what are you doing when you're not scoring goals? Because for a guy his size, he doesn't impose himself on the game. I think, what goal was it that he scored the other day where he kind of bullied his way and he got it? He scored on the turn and he scored and he kind of held it. He needs to do more of that.
Derby County.
For a guy his size, he doesn't, like, defenders should be terrified of the guy. Do you know
but I think at the same time there, you've got to give him the ball. Like, that moment at the Derby County was fantastic. I agree. You need more of that of Lukaku. You need more to be slightly more Didier Drogba-esque, where they used to fizz the ball into Drogba and he'd spin. But I think the problem is, like you're sort of saying, maybe the United players don't trust his touch, but then they need to start trust him in a way, because they've got to get him the ball. If you can do that against Derby, you can do that against anyone. Derby are a championship side, but at the same time, they're very physical defenders. If you can spin them, power them through, we can do it a lot more. I think the link needs to be there, maybe.
What Drogba didn't have in technical ability, he made up with his physicality. For me, that's what Rom needs to do, because the best we looked was when Jesse was linking up with Alexis. Them two seem to have an understanding already. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, this whole thing with the big forward and that, the way we play football, it's not necessarily something that we have to do. You know what I mean? You spoke about the Liverpool. For Bobby's not a big guy for me, no, but I tell you what, like, he links up very well up there. You know what I'm saying? You've seen the false nine played. You look at City, they don't have a big striker. You know what I'm saying? Arsenal have been playing with a smaller striker. Harry Kane's the exception out of the top teams ever before. And I honestly think if Alexis was playing down the middle, because that's where he should really be playing, and Tony was on the left and Jesse was on the right and they interchanged as a 3, I reckon someone's holding 6 or 7,
Right.
Because it's so fluid.
We've got to move on. We've got to talk about the other topics that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll stay with you if you want, Rants, and we'll talk about potential. So at 24 years of age, how much more of a ceiling do you think there is? Do you think there's the room to improve in his game, add more to his game, all that sort of stuff? Let's talk about potential of Lukaku.
Absolutely. I was having this discussion. I always said that for me, he's got a higher ceiling than Harry Kane, because he's actually more or less matching him for numbers, and there's so much more to his game that he can improve on. Whereas with Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane, this is as good as Harry Kane's going to be. I think this is his ceiling now. I think Harry Kane's peaked. I don't think Rom's peaked. I think his first touch can improve. His vision is not the worst. He's got some decent assists. He's got some very decent assists. So I think that that can definitely improve as he gets more experience. He's very good in the air. Like, his headed goals are very good. I think we need to cross the ball more for him and probably find him earlier, which is what Ruud van Nistelrooy got frustrated about as well, because when Ronaldo came in, we weren't tossing it in. He was used to a Beckham. If Lukaku was playing with David Beckham, we'd be on 25 goals this season, I'm sure of it, already. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like his overall ceiling is higher, and I think with experience, he will improve. But I just think, like, for the style of play, with someone like Lukaku, you play to his strengths or you don't help him. And also, he was at teams before. Nobody went to Everton or West Brom and parked the bus. You know what I'm saying? He's not used to playing with 10 men behind him. So he hasn't got the space to run into that he had at these other clubs. So he has to kind of play in a different system, in a different style of play, man.
Akeem, talk to me about Lukaku's potential. Has he peaked? Did we need someone more instant? Because we've gone from Zlatan to Lukaku. It wasn't really in the same kind of vein, was it?
Now, look, I'm a man who has always, look, when it comes to Lukaku, Rants knows, a lot of people know, I've been very clear from the outset of my thoughts on Lukaku. I wanted him far more than Morata. I'm way more excited in him than any other striker that we could have bought, because of his age and because of his physicality, because he knows the Premier League, and because his goal scoring record is undoubtedly great. You know, this guy for his age and what he does is immense. I think we're talking about potential. Who knows how good he could be by the time he's 27, 28 years old. You know, he could easily go on a down path like Benteke, don't get me wrong, like his Belgian guy, mate. But end of the day, he could also be 10 times better than he is now. And really, if he gets his footwork together, look, sometimes, look, a lot of people criticize his footwork. Some of the greatest players that we've spoken about, whether they're defensive midfielders, attackers, defenders, they're not known for being great all-rounders. I think we assume great players with being all-rounders like Messi or Ronaldo who can do everything. A lot of the great players from the past have not had great, you know, all of their stats fantastic. They've had actually huge weaknesses, and Lukaku's weakness is his touch isn't good. Who cares? Who cares if he gets into the box and he scores a goal a game or an assist every other game? Who cares? I really don't care. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you. All I want for Manchester United is a striker who actually cares, a striker that has proven that he's a great goal scorer, a striker who has proven that with 2 or 3 chances a game, he's going to bury 1 or 2 of those chances. You know, and that's the reality. Look at examples when we played City, for example. The truth is, people want to criticise him, but he literally had probably 1 chance, if not 2. Yeah, he conceded. Okay, he gave the opportunities away, and the own goal, basically, he ultimately conceded. But in reality, how many opportunities have he had in those games that he hasn't scored in? He's usually feeding off scraps. To give the guy the respect when he gets the opportunity. Look what he does for Belgium. He scores hat-tricks for fun. The guy's a beast. He scored 19 goals at the start of February.
20, exactly.
20 goals at the start of February. I think there's only 7 other strikers in Europe who scored more than 20 goals so far.
David.
You know, we've got to give him the respect. The guy's 24 years old. And to be fair, like, look, you know, people say, final thing I'll say, look, people say that we park the bus. You know, truth is, our style of play does not favour, you know, having multiple chances every game. And he has to be more clinical. But he's only 24 years old. Give him a chance. Let's see what he does.
David, potential.
I think he's got bags of potential. I think he's at 24, he's already showed a lot of the potential that he showed at 16, and now he's pushing forward. I think that one of the big things that you've got to look at, Mourinho, you know, one of the best coaches in world football, he's played Lukaku more than he's played any other player this season. Lukaku has the most minutes, even more than David De Gea. And I think that shows his importance in the team and how much Mourinho trusts him as a player and an individual. You think Mourinho's worked with some of the finest forwards on the planet, Karim Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, Diego Milito, even back at Porto, someone like Carlos Alberto, that may have not got to the pinnacle of where he'd gone in terms of his potential, but I think Lukaku can get there. And I think it's more sort of what Rants was saying about if David Beckham played for Man United, Lukaku would be on 25 goals. I think that's it. I think United need to be crossing slightly different situations. I think they need someone that can cross from those deep areas as well as David Beckham could. I think Paul Pogba was one guy that can do that, but again, as I mentioned before, not been in the team every single week for whatever reason. But it's all about maybe signing someone at right central midfield that can cross. I think that's such a big thing. Of course, if someone like a De Bruyne was on the market now, he'd be the first guy that you want to get, someone that can really fizz it into the box. Because you kind of want Lukaku there and thereabouts, and you want to be feeding him. I think that's the thing. For Lukaku to sort of reach his peak at Manchester United need to understand what makes the big Belgium tick and what gets him scoring goals and so forth. But in terms of where he could be at, say, at 27, 28, when the true target men of world football really hit their peak, it could be scary. It could be, like your 40 goal a season. And with Lukaku and everything else that he's got, the step overs, the tricks, the skills, the pace, for me, it's a ceiling that could break. With Harry Kane, those two strikers could really be the pinnacle of world football. All
right, next round that we're going to go to is, I was just looking up stats there because I've got a very interesting stat which I'll give you as we're doing a wrap-up. So we're talking about options then. Should there be as much pressure as Dave's talking about there? No one else has played as many minutes as Lukaku. Do you think the likes of Tony Marshall could be coming in and relieving some of that pressure? Do you want to see us constantly playing this number 9? Is the formation a little bit inflexible? Give me all of that on the options, and you can also ask if there's a transfer in there. Dave, I'm going to come to you first on this one. What do you reckon?
I think it's. I think there could be some use of moving the squad around. What I'd like to see is sort of how Roberto Martinez used Lukaku in the bigger games, especially against Arsenal, where he put Lukaku sort of on the right wing and he'd play a false 9 in the middle. Obviously at United we've got Alexis Sanchez. What that could mean is that tactically you could catch teams out, playing Lukaku, a physical forward, up against a fullback that usually in the modern day is going to be quick, but not very powerful. That could be a tactical option for Manchester United in rotation of positions. I kind of think Marcus Rashford needs some minutes as a number 9. I like Martial through the middle. So I think there's a lot of variation. Maybe with Lukaku, with all the minutes that he's played so far, he could do with the rest in the coming months. Of course, the Champions League's back. I'd rather have a firing, fit Lukaku there, and maybe playing the week before a Champions League game, throw Marcus Rashford through the middle if Rashford's going to be on the bench in these Champions League ties, to get Lukaku back up to that level where he's playing at 100% and he doesn't look tired or so forth. In terms of signings, I mentioned before, I don't think United need to strengthen their attackers. They've got a lot of quality going forward now in terms of the front three. I think it is maybe that central midfielder that can either unlock a defence with a through ball or unlock a defence with a cross, but also works in terms of high activity and attack and defence that help Lukaku out both in those zones, both attacking and defensively. But for United, there's a lot of options there, and I'd like to see Mourinho maybe tinker with it a little bit more as the season develops. I'd love to see, against Manchester City, Lukaku playing on the right wing and Sanchez through the middle.
Dino, is there anyone in world football you think that we could be buying to bring out the best of Lukaku? Do you think there's someone out there that would be a good signing?
I don't think we need to sign anyone. I think we need to we know we've got Lukaku, so you play to his strengths or you don't play him. It's the same in Liverpool bought Benteke. Why are you buying Benteke if you're not going to cross the ball? This guy's one of the best attacking the ball in the Premier League. Benteke can head a ball. So you buy Benteke and then you play the ball into his feet all the time. It makes no sense. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, Lukaku's greatest strength is heading the ball. The guy can head a ball. So cross the ball. But the thing is, with the high technical ability we have, we haven't had a team that bop the ball around like how they do now. With Jesse, Juan Mata, Tony, Rashford, Pogba, the one-touch intricate play is amazing. So Lukaku's the odd one out in that equation. He doesn't have the touch or the brain to kind of do the little touches around the corner and all. He's not that kind of player. So I just feel like all the players around him don't actually suit his strengths. That's why I say we actually look better when he came off and Tony come on, because then you had the free-flowing football of Jesse never stays. Even if he's on the right, he drifts in. If Tony's on the left, he drifts in. And Sanchez goes wherever the hell he wants, and rightly so, because he's that good. Do you know what I mean? So I'll play Sanchez down the middle. I'll play Jesse from the right. I'll play Tony from the left. And I'll let the guys do whatever the hell they wanted. And I can see just pain. I can see someone getting turned over well and truly, man. Because the goal we scored against Arsenal, the second goal, The link-up play was a great pass from Lukaku too, but the ball from Martial onto Jesse and Jesse running the third man run, it's just pain, man. Either if you're playing Lukaku, cross the ball. If you're not going to cross the ball, I don't know. Luke Shaw needs to cross more. It looks like Van Gaal's still in charge. He gets to the byline. If he gets to the byline and passes inside, Luke Shaw used to take set pieces for Southampton. The guy can cross the ball. Valencia gets down the right-hand side, cross the ball. That's it.
Sorry.
Cross the ball.
Sorry about that. We lost Akeem for a second. It sent the picture a little bit haywire. It's time for the 30-second round, and I guess Keem, by dipping out, has missed out his third one. But before we start on that, I'm going to read some of the comments out while we try and get Keem back on the call, and then we'll sort the pictures out for these guys down below as well. So Rahul says, Lukaku will take time to settle at Man United. I think that's a fair comment. I think that we forget, like everyone's mentioned, he's played for Everton, he's played for West Brom. He didn't really have a chance to settle at Chelsea. I think it will take time to settle at a club where you're expected to win every game and everyone's sitting and marking you deep. I see when I'm watching Lukaku play, I'm watching him usually surrounded by 5 or 6 opposition players. Very rarely is he in space. Very rarely and I don't think that's because I don't think he's standing in the right place. I think people are aware of his threat and they mark him tightly, and that means that it's concentrated. Your touch has to be fantastic in there, or you are going to have it bouncing off shins and that. Do you know who else was guilty of that all the time? It was Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney, in the same positions, in the same place, was doing the exact same thing as what you're seeing with Lukaku. Shanawaz says, Lukaku has shown improvement for his first touch. I think, as Dave said before, I think it can be obvious sometimes because it does bounce off his shin. I think it's probably because he's so big. I think he's so big that when it does go wrong, it goes horribly wrong. But he also first touches the shit out of it into the back of the net sometimes. Harry G says, NUFC is an elite club. Don't see Lukaku doing much, to be honest. Well, actually, this feels like the right time to pull up that stat that I was going to give you. And the stat that I'm going to give you is during that great season for... We've got Akeem back, so we'll bring him back on screen in a second. And I suppose if he's behaving... I'll let him have his options round so before we go to the 30-second. The stat that I wanted to give you is, in that great season when Robin Van Persie was unbelievable, in a Sir Alex Ferguson side that was coming from behind all the time, free-flowing, scoring tons and tons of goals, at this stage of the season, Robin Van Persie was on 24 goals. Lukaku's on 20. Are you telling me he's that bad? I say he's not. I say perception is a massive part in all of this. And I think if people had the perception that they have of that Fergie team, of this Mourinho team, it'd be a little bit different, is my opinion of that. Zoriaz says, Lukaku is inconsistent. I think that's a fair comment. Legend Luca says, I love Lukaku, but he breaks down that intricate play Jesse and Alexis tried to instigate. I'm not sure I agree with that, to be honest. I've just lost audio. Rants, what are you saying?
Yeah, I said I agree with that. I just agree. I think that the way he is as a player, he would have been more suited to the Fergie Manchester United. I think the way we play football now is mad. Like, for instance, was it last season against Leicester when we bopped them, and the goal that we scored with the intricate plays, with the Jesse, Mata, Pogba, then the flick round the corner, then the volley and that. Like, we've got players of that technical high level all around each other, and I just feel like he doesn't add to that. He adds something different. Like, to get the best out of Lukaku, you play to his strengths. Like, he doesn't play really well with people around him. If you look again when he played for Everton, he done a lot of the work himself. But he had a lot of stuff behind him. Teams would come up the field against Everton. When they play against us, they make you earn everything. They sit back. Against Huddersfield, the first half, they had 8 men on the edge of their box. You don't have space to turn into and run channels and stuff. It's not the same Lukaku. If you watch him play for us, he doesn't run the channels like he used to again for Everton because the space isn't there. So you need a little bit more creativity in and around the box to unlock these teams. And when they sit back, Lukaku looks very basic. And it's because it's a different kind of game. I just feel like we need someone a bit more guile. Do you know what I mean? To unlock teams when we're at home and teams are sitting back.
Trabra says, a good goal scorer will always be slightly limited though, especially if we want good, quick ball movement. Dribbles with his shin sometimes. Harry says he doesn't match Kane for numbers, but he doesn't get anywhere near the amount of chances Kane does. I think Dave's got some stats on that in a little bit.
Yeah, they play for Harry Kane at Tottenham.
Exactly.
We don't play for Lukaku. We don't play for him.
King Cantona, Lukaku has a better conversion rate than most strikers in the Premier League. He's definitely got a he's got a superior conversion rate than Harry Kane. But Harry Kane, I mean, people were trying to talk up Harry Kane's performance against United last week. Harry Kane took 8 shots, scored 0 goals, and they were saying, see, that means he's better than Lukaku. Lukaku had 1 shot and didn't score. If you give Lukaku 8 shots in that game, pretty sure he's not coming away without a goal.
To be fair, Harry Kane shoots from 30 yards because he's got it in his locker. Do you know what I mean?
But isn't that a criticism of Harry Kane, that his decision-making's not there, wasting chances if he's not going to score them? Yeah. Okay, Keem, let's come to you then. We missed your options one because you bounced. So talk to me. Do you think there's someone within the club? Do we look to need to get a sign-in? How do we get the best out of Lukaku? Is it a formation thing? Let us know what you think.
I don't know what's happened to football these days, where people don't want to, whether it's managers, whether it's directors in the club, people don't want to trial new formations and new styles more often. It doesn't make much sense. You know, when we're 2-3-0 up, just try and put 2 up top. You know, when we're 3-0 up, try and play Rashford and Martial in a position that they are destined to play in. You know, they're destined to play in a position of that point. So, for example, I think if he has someone closer to him, because at the moment what's happening is there's a wide left winger, there's a wide right winger, and to be honest, the distance, I think someone broke it down the other day, the distance between Lukaku and the next closest player is too far. His ball control's not good enough, his feet isn't good enough. We need someone close to him. He almost needs a York and Cole connection. We need to play 2 up top. And to be honest, Rashford, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is the best formation for us, but now and again we should try it. You know, Rashford needs to play up top. Martial, like I've always said, will reach his full potential if he plays centre forward, not on the left. You know, Henry, when he was 21, 22, used to play in that position as well. And Wenger was smart enough to realise that guy is a centre forward. And we need to realise how good Martial is, not on the left wing, wasting away and crossing the ball in. He is much better than that. And we need to get him in the middle where he's playing next to someone like Lukaku. And we need to trial it. You know, I honestly think the next time we're 3-0 up, we need to trial something like this. So there's a slight switch in formation and see if we can have a plan B. You know, we've got defensive plan Bs all the time. You know, Mourinho's always going to have that in the locker, but we need an attacking plan B. That's my thoughts. We don't need new players, though.
Right then, it's time for the 30-second round. Dino, I'm going to come to you first. I'm just going to get my clock out. I said clock. Filthy minds.
Oh, come on.
Are you ready? Give us your 30 seconds. You can either rubbish one of their arguments or you can state your own case. You think Lukaku's been a success, going to be a success, or isn't a success? Whatever you feel like. State what you're going with and then give us your 30 seconds. Ready when you are. Let's go.
But I'm going to stick by what I said about Rom. Do you know what I mean? I think he's definitely been a success if you're just taking into account goals. But I think our style of play will be better suited to a more fluid front three to get the best out of all the other guys. I think we can see that they don't have 100% confidence in him because there's a lot of chances where he's free, they don't play the ball into him. So play to his strengths or you don't play him at all. And what Akeem was saying as well, I think we should play McTominay and just play the free. Play Scott
Time.
And free Pogba.
Wow. Play Scott McTominay and free Pogba.
Yep.
Like it. Keem, do you want to go next?
Sure.
State what you're going with and then give us your 30 seconds. Ready when you are.
Cool. So I'm going to say Lukaku is a success. The reason is, like my points before, 97 goals. People all talking about Harry Kane being a great striker in Europe. He's about the same age and he's only on 3 goals more than him at the moment. He's got 33 assists. That's incredible for a 24-year-old lumbering forward like him. He hardly gets service, yet he gets a goal every other game, an assist every other game as well. On average, that's phenomenal. I think the age and the strength of the player, the heart of the player, and what he's shown for West Brom and Everton, a team that he had a lack of service and a lack of quality, is still good.
David? State what you're going with. Success, failure, wait and see, all that stuff. Let's have it.
Yeah, I think he's been a massive success at Manchester United. I think playing more to his strengths, hanging the ball up to the back post will get him more goals. 19 in all competitions, 12 in the league. Slightly less than Harry Kane, but he's got a better conversion than Kane, fewer bad touches than Kane, and also in terms of his ability to be hit as a target man, it's absolutely perfect. But I think we need to play more to him, play more to his feet, get him involved in more moves, and he'll improve as a footballer and an absolute talent. In terms of big chances missed, he's missed fewer big chances than Morata, Aguero, Kane, and the rest of the strikers in the Premier League, including Mo Salah.
Oh, that was a great last line, Dave.
Thanks.
Not many people believe it. They just already made their mind up. Rants has gone. Is he coming back in? He is coming back in. I'll wait till he finishes to get him back in. Right. We are all back in. It's decision time. I thought you all made excellent points in everything that you were saying. Keem's comparison early on with Robin Van Persie really made me think and really made me Google exactly what Robin Van Persie did in that first season for Manchester United. Dave obviously coming with the data that shows that the perception of Romelu Lukaku is incorrect, but I also think Dean's got a hell of a point that I don't think Manchester United play to the strengths of Lukaku. It's a little bit disjointed, like the defence is doing this, the midfield's doing this, and then Lukaku, who I think along with Paul Pogba, you could build such a good and powerful football team on the basis of those two alone that United aren't playing to the strengths. So he's disappeared again. But I'm going to say I think Rants wins the debate because I think he had such a good argument for that United aren't playing to Lukaku's strengths, although I think he's been a success. I think the argument that Dean put forward was quite good. And even though he's not here, I thought that that's going to win the debate this time around. But again, like both of the two lads that are left, I think Lukaku has been a success. What do you lot think? Let me know in the comments below. Has he been a success? Do we need to wait and see? What's the potential like? All of the topics that we covered, get them in the comments below, and for the next half an hour or so we're going to reply to some of those. So get your comments in below. Make sure to go and check out Dave's channel. Make sure to go and check out everything that CheekySport are doing on YouTube. And even though he's disappeared, we'll throw the link in the description as well for Dino, because there's some really good stuff on his YouTube channel as well. He might have just popped in.
Oh, he's back.
So he can find out that he actually won the debate, even though he buggered off.
You should take it off.
Is he here? We don't know. So, Rants and Bants wins it this time around. He's going to have to go and watch the last 2 minutes of this video to find out why. But thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to these guys for joining us on the debate. Go and follow all them guys. The links are in the description below, and we will see you in the next one. Laters.